March Madness never fails to deliver. Year after year, we are dealt memorable moment after memorable moment. Whether it is through buzzer beaters, lovable underdogs, or a viral sensation, there is always something from the NCAA tournament. Last season, NBC Sports Washington was counting down to get everyone ready for March Madness. That is how much the excitement peaks. That's why today we've brought you the top 6 best moments in March Madness history. Number 6, 2016. Northern Iowa half-court buzzer beater versus Texas. One of the most memorable shots from the second round of the NCAA tournament came on March 18, 2016 in Oklahoma City. The number 11 seed Northern Iowa Panthers versus the number 6 seed Texas Longhorns. The game was tied at 72 after Isaiah Taylor made a layup for Texas with 3 seconds left. The Panthers inbound the ball quickly to Paul Jesperson, who makes one dribble down the right sideline in front of the Texas bench, crosses over to the middle of the floor, and throws up a half-court prayer that is answered. The shot perfectly hits the center of the backcourt and drops for a Northern Iowa game winner. Every bar and casino in America erupted, except for those in Austin, Texas. Number 5, 2011. Legend of Jimmer Fredette. There were few players over the last decade who captivated college basketball quite like Jimmer Fredette. The BYU product made a name for himself during the 2009-10 season, averaging 22.1 points a game during his junior year. Fredette made watching college basketball must-see TV, not because he scored a lot, but how he scored. At 6'2", 195 pounds, Fredette somehow found a way to get his shot off whenever he wanted. The sharpshooter could stop on a dime and had such a quick release that would give even the best defenses headaches. What really separated Fredette, though, was his range. The term Jimmer range was coined because once Fredette crossed half court, he was a threat to shoot the ball. Fredette led the Cougars to a 30-4 record during the 2010-11 regular season, putting them into the national spotlight and earning them the spot as the number 3 seed in the NCAA tournament. Coming into the tournament, the star point guard averaged 28.9 points. He eclipsed his average in all 3 games he played during the NCAA tournament, scoring 32 versus Wofford, 34 versus Gonzaga, and 32 in an OT loss to Florida in the Sweet 16. Fredette's college career was over, but his legacy was just getting started. Number 4, 2016. Middle Tennessee shocks Michigan State. You could argue that at the time, this was the greatest upset in the second round of the NCAA tournament ever. Just 7 times had a number 15 seed defeated a number 2 seed, but that number was soon going to become 8. Michigan State, a perennial powerhouse, was 29-5 with one of the most loaded rosters in the country, and was fresh off of a Big Ten Conference championship. Middle Tennessee State, coming out of Conference USA, was 24-8 on the season. Everyone figured this would be your classic 2 versus 15 game, ending in a 25-point blowout. But quickly, Middle Tennessee showed that that wasn't going to happen. Exploding out of the gates, the Blue Raiders grabbed a 15-2 lead, forcing Michigan State to call a timeout. It only took 4 minutes for Middle Tennessee to realize they could play with the Spartans, and did they ever. Michigan State, as expected, came back and got within a point, but could never take the lead. Every time the Spartans made a run, the Blue Raiders had an answer. Behind the 3-headed monster of Giddy Potts, Reggie Upshaw Jr., and Darnell Harris, who combined for 55 points, Middle Tennessee pulled off the upset against tournament favorite Michigan State 90-81. Number 3, 2015. Wisconsin beats 38-0 Kentucky. Easily the best college basketball team of the decade was the 2014-15 Kentucky Wildcats. Filled with 8 players who declared for the NBA like Karl Anthony Towns, Devin Booker, Trey Lyles, and the Harrison twins, Kentucky was the class of college basketball. They rolled through the non-conference schedule, sprinted through the SEC, glided through the first 4 rounds of the tournament, and then finally met their match in the Final Four. Wisconsin, at 35-3 with their own fair share of pros like Sam Decker and Frank Kaminsky, were eager to attempt something no other team before them could do during that season: beat Kentucky. At halftime, the game was tied at 36 between the Badgers and the Wildcats, and as expected, Wisconsin was giving Kentucky everything they could handle. Fast forward late into the second half, and the game was now tied at 60 with 2:35 to play. Down the stretch, free throws proved to be the difference. Wisconsin was 8 for 10 from the line, while the Cats were just 2 for 3. Wisconsin's calling card all year was their ability to close out close games, and that's exactly what they did. Kentucky's youth finally caught up to them, and their lack of experience playing in tight games. Of the 8 players who got significant minutes for Kentucky, 6 of them were freshmen. In the area of the one and done, Kentucky probably had the best team and couldn't win the title. Number 2, 2018, Loyola Chicago's magical run. There have been only 4 instances in the history of college basketball where a number 11 seed made it to the Final Four. LSU in 1986 completed this feat, so did George Mason in 2006, and VCU in 2011. The 4th team to do it was in 2018, when the Ramblers of Loyola Chicago made it to the pinnacle of college basketball's greatest stage. However, Loyola Chicago felt a bit different than those other 3 teams because they had Sister Jean. Born on August 21, 1919, Jean Dolores Schmidt was the chaplain for the Loyola Chicago men's basketball team. At 98 years old, she quickly became America's sweetheart, and her team became the darling of the big dance. The Ramblers escaped the 2nd and 3rd rounds of the tournament as Sister Jean so famously predicted. After a buzzer-beating win over the University of Miami and a last-second upset of Tennessee, the Ramblers were dancing their way to the Sweet 16. Sister Jean, who watched every Ramblers basketball game from the 27-18 season, got to see her team go from the Joseph J. Gentile Center, which seats about 4,500 people, to the bright lights of Phillips Arena in downtown Atlanta. Even the bright lights of the ATL couldn't slow down the Ramblers. After another hard-fought win against number 7 seed Nevada and a blowout win of the number 9 seed Kansas State Wildcats, Loyola Chicago had punched their ticket to the Final Four. The Ramblers' bid for a national title fell short after a loss to Michigan in the semifinals. But Loyola Chicago and Sister Jean had their 3 weeks of fame that will live in college basketball immortality that only March Madness can provide. Number 1, 2018, UMBC. All this talk of number 15 seeds is fun and all, but let's take it up a notch. All those years of NCAA tournament games between a number 1 seed and a number 16 seed, 131 to be exact, and never had we seen a number 16 beat a 1. Most thought it would happen but didn't know how long it would take. Then, on March 16, 2018, we got our answer. The University of Maryland Baltimore County, UMBC, took on the University of Virginia in a game that at the time no one knew could rewrite the history books. Virginia was 31-2, the unquestioned number 1 overall seed. UMBC was 24-9, coming off a stunning upset against Vermont in the American East Championship game, just to play Virginia. Under Tony Bennett, Virginia had been a dominant team in the regular season, but had yet to play in a Final Four. They were susceptible to an early round upset just as any team who plays in the tournament is. The thought it would come in this game, however, was unthinkable. Tied up at 21 heading to halftime, UMBC was giving Virginia all they could handle. To start the second half, UMBC went on a 6-0 run to go up 27-21, and that's when the game really started to get interesting. The energy of the game flipped, and Virginia slowly could sense that the game was getting a little too uncomfortable for their liking. UMBC continued to knock down shots, especially from three-point range, and the Cavaliers couldn't stop them. Virginia had no answers defensively for UMBC, and reality was starting to set in. As time dwindled away, history started to approach. The final seconds ticked off the clock, and UMBC rushed the floor, becoming the first number 16 seed to defeat a number 1 seed. 53 second-half points and 50% shooting from three-point range, 14-28, were the ingredients to the UMBC upset. A 74-54 drubbing of Virginia. At long last, a 16 seed was moving on to the 3rd round of the NCAA tournament. That's it for today's video. If you enjoyed our content, don't forget to join on our future videos. Goodbye!